TLDR, in short, this is me asking for advice with regards to why I perceive to be an abusive relationship that I can't give up on. I love her, and that MO means you take the rough with the smooth, but maybe I'm naive. So I'm AM40 and my GF is 42. We met at work about a year ago and got together as part of an affair. Yes, I know, not good, but there is a long story there. Anyway, we both left our partners and made a real go of our relationship. She is senior to me in work and she always felt everyone had an issue with our relationship, but I just didn't see it, as I really don't think they did. They had an issue with her and the way she treated me, but I'll come to that. Things started off great, but as time went on, she was more and more concerned about my friends/colleagues and wanted me to distance myself from them, saying I shouldn't be socializing or speaking to people who are against us, essentially isolating me from everyone, to the point I would hide at work, change my routine so I wasn't seen with these people. I started to become withdrawn. Am allowed to talk to women and was accused of flirting with an 88-year woman by helping her with her shopping. So no contact with women at all. As time progressed, every time I put a foot wrong, she would break up with me, block me, scream, shout, say horrible things about me, my kids, my position at work. She even sat me down one day and told me I wasn't good enough for her. She changed the way I dressed, the way I spoke, and whilst I know I made these changes, I was blindsided by what was going on. I wasn't allowed time by myself, and it reached a point where we argued in the car and she threw a Yeti bottle at me, so I jumped out of the car for my own safety. She drove off and I walked back for about an hour. She then blamed me, so I slammed the door and ran away. Leading on from that, she hit me. At that point, I said that was a step too far and I had to leave the relationship. She then started hitting herself and said she would kill herself if I leave. So naturally, I went back. I, for some reason, refused to see the bad in people and focus on the good traits. I ended up leaving my current role and strived for a fresh start away from her, 550 miles, but I couldn't leave her. I didn't want to. It actually worked in our favor for a time. Away from work/friends/kids, we got on really well. I started to remember why I fell for her in the first instance. We coordinated a long-distance relationship for a time, but insecurities started to creep in. I wasn't allowed to play golf, socialize, had to share my location on my phone, etc. I will admit, I got into a pattern of lying just to give myself some freedom, a bit of time for me, but this caused more issues. The threats of self-harm increased, the routine dumping/blocking increased, and things were at rock bottom. She decided to move to be closer to me and wanted me to pursue a job even closer to her. She said she wanted to get married, have children, and painted a great life together. It's everything I wanted, and again, ignored the bad to focus on this life she painted. She has changed her stance on the work thing and finally realized that it's who you are as a person, not how much money you have or what you do. Of note, I have a well-respected job with good money, she just earns more. She asked me to speak to my manager for a move. She wanted me to cite mental health issues to orchestrate the move, which didn't sit well with me at all. I again told her a few fibs to calm her down a bit and said I was doing everything I can, but I wasn't it. I made up a few bits to keep her at arm's length. She said if I didn't get to her, she would kill herself. I actually looked for a move back to my old job, which she said if I went there, we would be over and she would kill herself within a week. I have actually moved back to my old job. I'm happy to be back with my friends. My kids are close, but I do miss her. She wants to stay together, but does mean I have to move to her place of work. Whilst I would like to say it's because she wants to see me, I think it's darker than that and actually wants me all to herself, no friends, no kids, and can keep an eye on me. Over the year, she has stripped me down to a shell of my former self. I haven't conducted myself properly in a sense that I have lied. I do ignore her if she goes off via text, and when she is kicking off, I shut down and go cold. A little girl who cried wolf, but also I just don't have the energy to receive the abuse. Because if this, she states I gaslight her and play on her mental health and self-diagnosed autism and ADHD. This is a line she uses over and over again and blames her behavior for that, but as it isn't diagnosed, it's essentially made up. She says she cuts herself when I ignore her, although never seen proof. She states she overdoses regularly but always wakes up in a pool of vomit, again no proof. Over Christmas, we went back to the old town where we used to work and where my ex-wife and kids are. I spent a lot of time with my boys, which she took exception to, telling me she hates them and I should prioritize her and not them, which I don't agree with. Furthermore, my ex-wife broke her leg, so I took her to hospital and have been helping out as she can walk. I have been told by my GF that I am the worst person in the world and that I shouldn't be helping her or looking after my kids. We are now at a point where I am seeking counseling and she has currently dumped me, blocked me, and said she is off to go and find some sex from someone because it's that easy for her. Needless to say, my head is in the bin on all of this. I love her unconditionally, I miss her, but shall I stop trying to fix her and our relationship? Shall I give up trying to get back with her no matter how hard it hurts? As I mentioned earlier, I'm not and haven't been perfect. I have lied and bent the truth to allow myself a bit of freedom, but as far as gaslighting, is she right? People I have spoken to have said I'm being domestically abused because I have been changed, isolated, blamed, assaulted, belittled, etc., but the whole time all I can think of is, am I in the wrong? Have I caused all this? During this relationship, I have lost family, friends, and myself, but no matter what she does, I love her and want to be with her and look after her. She literally means everything to me. I have the choice to move to be with her, but that's away from my kids and that doesn't sit well with me, and frankly, I don't want to leave them. Every time I say I'm going to give up on her, I last a day and email her, then she messages and we are back to verbal abuse, which settles over a few days, and she states she wants me to move and have our life together. I then close down after she presses me in the move and she blocks me again. It's a viscous cycle that never ends, but could if I was more open with her. She says I don't communicate, but when I try, she flies off the handle, so I just lock my stuff down and get in with it. I think I know the right answer. I should walk away, accept it will hurt but will get better, but I just can't. The thought of her with someone else breaks me. I appreciate there is a lot here, slightly erratic and not very well written and only my side of the story, but any thoughts would be appreciated. Of note, she has said she can't promise she won't hit me again, so at least she is honest. I, 23M, have a good relationship with a girl, 28F, from Korea. But I need to share my lingering doubts I've had about the relationship since the beginning. Sadly, I don't have homies I feel comfortable talking about this with, so for now I'll start by dumping here. TDLR, she's a great woman, but I feel like we don't quite have the type of connection I hope to find in a long-term relationship. For context, I had been single for almost 2 years, holding on to some pain from last relationship and feeling isolated. I work and live in a rural area where it's hard to meet people close by, but I'm not too far from major cities. I hesitated to try dating apps for a while cause I don't like texting, but eventually decided to try Hinge. Used it for a month and every conversation was dry and went nowhere. The only person who kept the conversation going was a girl in South Korea who would be studying in a city 3 hours from me in several months. At 28 years old, she had never really dated and apparently was pretty picky on Hinge. I was the first person she sent a like to. I was unsure about this because I don't like texting people or long distance. But she was sweet. I hadn't been with anyone in a long time and hadn't been getting anywhere otherwise. So we kept talking and committed to waiting for each other. After she moved and we went on several dates, I felt some doubt for the reasons I'll get into later. But for months each date somehow was better than the last one. We went out and did all sorts of things and made a lot of memories, which I really needed after being isolated for so long. Now we're 4 months, 6 if you count messaging, into the relationship, and it's pretty serious. My parents and everyone in my life who's met her likes her. I know she wants marriage and lots of kids. So how do I feel about things now? I'll start with the positive. This is the most healthy relationship with the most potential I've had, though I've only been with 2 other people. We've never argued. She's level-headed. She's incredibly sweet and supportive. She's cuddly and affectionate, which is such a relief cause my last GF was not at all and it hurt. She's talented. She's smart, getting a PhD in her second language while I'm a college dropout factory worker. Despite my worries about long, 3-hour drive, distance, we've both put in an equal effort and it's been working. I feel like I can trust her, even after developing trust issues after my last relationship. She really loves me. So what am I worried about? The main thing is that there's an element of friendship and deep, natural connection that feels missing. There have been girls in my life, not just ones I've dated, where I feel this very natural, deep connection with. It's hard to describe, but I find my conversations with my partner are a bit shallow. Often it's quiet between us, which bothers me. I always thought I needed someone a bit louder and outgoing to bring out that side of me. I'm sure at least some of this comes down to the language barrier. Her English is fluent enough that many can't tell it's not her first language, but of course it's not quite as natural for her to talk to me as it is for her to talk to her friends in Korean. For that reason, I wonder why she wouldn't prefer a Korean BF. But maybe this is something that will get better with time? We also don't share that many interests. I'm a creative person. I care about the arts, like movies, video games, music. I share those things with her to an extent, but feel like I need to hold back because she doesn't care as deeply about it as I do. She doesn't have much to say about them, so I hesitate to talk about them as much as I want to. Similarly, she explains some of the things she learns in her studies. Some of it is very interesting, but a lot of it is in-depth academic stuff that I struggle to engage with or even understand. Our sense of humor doesn't overlap much either, as I'm someone whose sense of humor has been malformed by the internet. That's an important way for me to connect with people. Since our interests don't overlap much, we sometimes find ourselves bored when we're together. She's happy to just be with me in the quiet, but I feel less happy about it. I worry about it. This is something she will regret years down the line after marriage. Like if she'll even be happy immigrating here so we can build a life together. She has her family and friends in Korea. She loves it there. What if I look back and feel regret that I didn't date more people to find someone who's a better fit? Or am I not appreciating how good I have it with her? Maybe you guys can give me some perspective. What are the impressions you get?